Hi, this is Rev Ed with today's Back Porch Devotional from Genesis 41, verses 25 through 38. Then Joseph said to Pharaoh, "The dreams of Pharaoh are one. God has revealed to Pharaoh what he is about to do. The 7 good cows are 7 years, and the 7 good ears are 7 years. The dreams are one. The 7 lean and ugly cows that came up after them are 7 years, and the 7 empty ears blighted by the east wind are also 7 years of famine. It is as I told Pharaoh. God has shown Pharaoh what he is about to do. There will come 7 years of great plenty throughout all the land of Egypt. But after them there will be 7 years of famine, and all the plenty will be forgotten in the land of Egypt. The famine will consume the land, and the plenty will be unknown in the land by reason of the famine that will follow, for it will be very severe. And the doubling of Pharaoh's dream means that the thing is fixed by God, and God will shortly bring it about. Now therefore let Pharaoh select a discerning and wise man, and set him over the land of Egypt. Let Pharaoh proceed to appoint overseers over the land, and take 1/5 of the produce of the land of Egypt during the 7 plentiful years. And let them gather all the food of these good years that are coming, and store up grain under the authority of Pharaoh for food in the cities, and let them keep it. That food shall be a reserve for the land against the 7 years of famine that are to occur in the land of Egypt, so that the land may not perish through the famine." This proposal pleased Pharaoh and all his servants. And Pharaoh said to his servants, "Can we find a man like this, in whom is the Spirit of God?" Joseph interprets Pharaoh's dreams. He had said that God would give the interpretation, and so he has. It's an abundantly clear illustration of what God intends, and Joseph points out that the reason Pharaoh had 2 sets of the same dream is that God has fixed this thing to happen, and it's going to happen soon. So then Joseph shows not only does he understand dreams by the power of God, but he outlines a plan for Pharaoh. He doesn't just tell Pharaoh what's going to happen. Many would have thought that was a sufficient sign of Joseph's unique relationship to God. But Joseph outlines a plan of really good sense. It amounts to a 20% tax on everybody in Egypt. 20% of all the grain would get stored up. And there would be grumbling, I'm sure. But Joseph knows what's coming. He lays this plan out for Pharaoh. He says, let him put somebody over Egypt, and let overseers be put in all the cities, and collect 20% of the grain each year over the next period of time during the 7 plentiful years. And then you'll have enough for the 7 lean years. And Pharaoh says, "Can we find a man like this, in whom is the Spirit of God?" This is the first time in the Bible that God's Spirit is referenced in conjunction with a human being. Joseph is a man who had the Spirit of God, and even a pagan like Pharaoh, who had a household full of different gods and goddesses, he could recognize that. And one of the striking things here is that Joseph's connection to God was deeply spiritual, and it resulted in him having an uncommon level of wisdom. We don't pay enough attention at all to wisdom these days. Another phrase for it is common sense, which seems to be all too uncommon. And yet we know that wisdom is a gift from God. And James, in his letter, says this in the 1st chapter, "If any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask God, who gives generously to all without reproach, and it will be given to him." Wisdom is a gift from God, and he'll give it to anybody who asks for it. Many times we fret over what we're supposed to do, and we look for Bible verses the way we crack open fortune cookies, hoping to stab a page that'll tell us what we're supposed to do. And the simple solution is to seek God's wisdom. God will give us the wisdom to know what to do. But what we have to do is stay close to God. Proverbs says this in the 2nd chapter, "For the Lord gives wisdom, and from his mouth come knowledge and understanding. He stores up sound wisdom for the upright. He is a shield to those who walk in integrity, guarding the paths of justice and watching over the way of his saints. Then you will understand righteousness and justice and equity, every good path. For wisdom will come into your heart, and knowledge will be pleasant to your soul. Discretion will watch over you, understanding will guard you, delivering you from the way of evil. Now I want you to notice that God gives wisdom to those who ask it, but Proverbs remind us that God stores up wisdom for the upright, for those who walk in integrity. Don't think you can ignore the ways of God, that you can live in a way that is contrary to what he's already revealed to us in his word, and then ask him for the wisdom to know what to do. He's not going to share his blessings with people who flout his authority, who disregard his role as the ruler of the universe, and who ignore what he has clearly commanded us to do. But for those who strive to walk in integrity, and we know nobody's perfect, but for those who are trying to fall forward, God will preserve wisdom for you. He'll store it up for you, and all you have to do is ask for it. Joseph presented himself to Pharaoh as somebody who was in touch with God, and he didn't seek to glorify himself. He was placed in a foreign kingdom, and he was just being of service to that particular earthly master. There's another good rule for all of us. I'm sure there were a lot of things that went on in Pharaoh's kingdom that were not godly, and yet Joseph found a way to serve. Each of us can do the same thing, and in order to do that, what we need is godly wisdom. So ask God for wisdom, and then when he gives it to you, do what he shows you. He will reveal to you what you need to know. Yes, it is important to search the scriptures and meditate on them and pray over them. And one of the ways God provides wisdom for us is through godly friends who might know more than we do. We don't have to figure everything else out on our own, and we would do better to talk to them than to do a Google search. Let godly wisdom be a tool for the living of your life, so that you might walk in ways that are pleasing to him and would be a blessing to those around you. God's blessings be upon you this day.